And we're checking in with our daily updates. And joining us again today is Philip Mock from Prosperity Roundtable. So Phil joined us a few weeks back to talk about some of the supports that were coming out to assist with the COVID response. And as we know, things are changing daily. So there's been quite a few little updates that have popped out since then. We've learned some things since our last update. So we wanted to bring Phil back on to be able to share with us what some of those updates have been. So, Phil, I'll turn it over to you.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Steve. So, Steve, are you able to share the website?
Coming right up.
Perfect. So, as you might know, we've updated our website at the CK Prosperity Roundtable. You can get to it by just typing into your browser prosperityroundtable.com. Here's the main page, and if you click on COVID-19 support updates, there you can find a ton of accurate and up-to-date information on the policy and legislation changes that have come out, especially around income supports for families and households. So we're going to do some updates because a lot of you might have already applied for the emergency relief benefit or other income supports. So we'll just be doing some quick updates and not necessarily rehashing how to apply and all those pieces. That being said, if this is your first time applying or you're looking to apply, by all means go to our website, and we have tons of information of how to apply, your eligibility criteria, and what if questions to see if you really are a good fit for the emergency relief benefit. So Steve, if you click on income supports for me. Perfect. And we'll scroll down just a bit and keep going. So again, just step one is just talking about when you applied. Again, this is just a reminder that if you were eligible for employment insurance, but you applied after March 15th, you would still be receiving employment insurance. You will not receive the emergency relief benefit. However, even if you were eligible for employment insurance after March 15th and you applied after March 15th, then you would receive the emergency relief benefit. I know it's a little bit confusing, but really, the best way to remember it is if you applied after March 15th and you were eligible after March 15th, no matter who you are, you're going to get the emergency relief benefit. If you were eligible for employment insurance before March 15th but applied after March 15th, you'll receive employment insurance. Okay, let's scroll down a little bit more. So the biggest update that's happened with the emergency relief benefit is under the eligibility criteria. Okay, so just a reminder, you cannot be receiving employment insurance or already receiving the emergency relief benefit to apply. That's kind of a no-brainer. You cannot quit your job voluntarily. That's very important. You can't quit your job voluntarily, otherwise you do not qualify. Of course, you have to reside in Canada, you have to be a Canadian citizen or permanent resident. You have to be 15 years or older and have earned at least $5,000 in employment income in 2019 or the last 12 months. Those were always the eligibility criteria, and they just updated it. So the big update that has come out is if you are applying for the first time, if you have an employment income of less than $1,000 before tax, okay, for at least 14 days or more in a row, during the 4-week claim period, if it's below $1,000, you are now eligible. So say, for example, I'm employed. I've been working for a month from March 15th to April the 11th, and I've made $500 in employment income. Previously, I would not have been eligible. Now they're saying you are eligible and you can receive the emergency relief benefit, okay? If you're reapplying, because you have to reapply every 4 weeks to keep receiving the emergency relief benefit. If you're reapplying, as long as you're not going to make $1,000 in employment income before tax during the next 4-week claim period, you are still eligible for the emergency relief benefit. Again, I know it's a little bit confusing. It's that legalese they always try to throw at us. But again, it's just a reminder that if within a 4-week claim period, okay, if you are receiving less than $1,000 before tax, and as long as it has not been within 14 days, so if I made $1,000 in the first month, but it was over 4 weeks, I'm eligible. But if I made $1,000 in 2 weeks, I'm not. Okay, that's the little hiccup with the first month of application. The second month and moving forward, all you have to say is, I'm not making more than $1,000 in a 4-week period to keep being eligible. Again, who's eligible is people who've lost their jobs, people who are sick, quarantined, or taking care of someone who is sick. If you're a parent staying home without pay to take care of a child or a dependent, it could be a senior dependent, for example. You could be a wage earner, contract worker, self-employed. You're all eligible. Or you are a worker who's employed but receiving less than $1,000 in employment income per 4 weeks. You'll receive $2,000 for up to 4 months, and it comes in a lump sum payment every 4 weeks. So to apply, very simply, it's actually very simple to apply. You can call one of the 2 toll-free numbers. They ask you 4 questions. It's really straightforward. Or you can apply online through your My CRA account or your My Service Canada account, okay? Now, the big thing here, you really have to take note of this. If you applied by phone, or you apply by your My CRA account, or you apply by My Service Canada account, you only apply through one. If you apply through multiple different areas, you will get overpayment and you will have to repay that. So be careful. Choose one method for application and apply through that method ongoing until your claim period is over. Another piece of note before we get further, another note, if you scroll up to the very top, Steve, for me. Perfect. Just under my video there, it's really important to note that for anybody who's receiving employment insurance, you have to do bi-weekly income reports. So basically, employment insurance requires you to do bi-weekly reports saying that, yes, I'm still unemployed, or yes, I'm employed, but here's how much I'm making, because they determine how much you're going to get every 2 weeks based on that report. One of the questions you might receive is, are you ready and willing to go back to work or find work? Now, if you answer no to that, realistically, it's a no, because you're either let go from your job, the business you work for isn't open, or no one's hiring. If you click no, automatically your employment insurance will shut down and you will have to call in. We've heard a lot of stories of people struggling with this, and there's like 4+ hour long wait times to speak to someone. So if at the moment, we recommend you click yes, because that will keep the employment insurance flowing. We have spoken with our local MPs. They are aware of the issue, and they're trying to work with Service Canada to deal with that. So just keep that in mind, that click yes for right now. Otherwise, you're going to be in a real pickle. Okay, Steve, if we go back to the main page for me. And if you want to touch on family supports in the bottom right. Perfect. So the Ontario government has released a new support program for families. So this program came out because they recognize that there's extra costs involved with having children home from school or daycare 24/7. So what they're saying is eligible parents will receive up to $200 for children between the ages of 0 and 12, and you'll receive $250 for children or youth in the home up to 21 who have special needs, okay? So it's basically focused around the educational needs of the child. So it's helped to cost cover for workbooks, educational applications, for example, an iPad or a computer, helping with educational subscription services, movies, and other tools for helping your child at home stay engaged with their education. Eligibility criteria is super simple. Basically, there's no income cap. So regardless of how much you make, you are eligible as long as you have a child between these age ranges. So as long as you have a child who's age 0 to 12 or 0 to 21 with a special need, you are eligible, okay? Important note, if you have more than one child in the home, you have to submit one application per child, okay? Now, an important note here is, if everyone remembers when there was the education strikes, there was financial supports that came out from the provincial government called Support for Parents, and it was a financial support program that provided, I think, $60 to $120 for covering of childcare expenses during that time. If you were eligible for that program, you are also eligible for this program, and it's automatic. You will not have to reapply. Okay, so you'll automatically be eligible, and you do not have to submit a new application. You will automatically receive those $200 per child. To apply, it's very simple. As long as you have your your child's school and school board information, name, your date of birth of your child, your banking information for direct deposits, and a valid email address, you can submit an application. And you can click here for the application, and it brings you to the Ontario government's website. Here's the application. It's very straightforward. As you can see, it's basically just showing you exactly, as Steve is scrolling through, what you need. And yes, it's very straightforward. I really recommend any parent who has a child to apply for this might as well. There doesn't seem to be any catch to this rate at this moment, and $200 is quite a low amount that it shouldn't necessarily affect your taxes at the end of the year in 2020. So if you scroll through just a little bit more, Steve, just, yep, you're on the right page. No, yep, you're back to the main page, excuse me. Perfect. And let's go to wage subsidy program and business supports. So I know I spoke last time about the wage subsidy, the emergency wage subsidy program, but there's been a little bit of updates, and I just wanted to bring those updates forward. So the wage subsidy program provides businesses, nonprofits, and registered charities with 75% or up to $837 per week of an employee's salary to help businesses retain their employees and start normal operations once the COVID-19 pandemic has stopped. So eligibility, you must have had a 15% drop in revenue in March of 2020, and then a 30% drop in April and May. Okay, it's a 12-week program, runs for 12 weeks. That's 3 months of 4 weeks each. So as long as you've lost 15% revenue in March and 30% in April and May, you're good to go and you can apply. Really, if you look down just under eligibility, there's 3 different periods. Those are the 3 months of March to April, April to May, and May to June. Those are sort of the 3 claim periods that businesses, nonprofits, and registered charities can apply for. To make it simple and to make sure that you're not just dropped off the system at the last moment, what they're saying is if you are eligible for period 1, you will also be eligible for period 2. If you're eligible in period 2 as well, you'll also receive that wage subsidy support in period 3. So instead of just saying you have to constantly confirm your eligibility, they're adding an extra month on to allow you to keep that sustainability of having staff stay on for at least 2 months to prepare to get back to normal operations. So again, who is eligible? It could be individuals, taxable corporations, partnerships consisting of eligible entities, be it businesses or nonprofits in partnership, NPOs, nonprofit organizations, and registered charities. What you're going to receive is a subsidy that covers 75% of your employee's pre-crisis income, or a maximum of $847 per week, okay? If the employee is hired during the program term, so if they're hired over the next 3 months because you're expanding your workforce to meet needs, the subsidy will be calculated based on their actual income, okay, during this time. Again, with a maximum of $847 per week. So if you scroll down a little bit more, because I think for now we're getting to the nitty gritty of actually how to calculate how much subsidy you're going to get and how much revenue you're going to lose. So if you're a business owner, if you're executive director of a nonprofit, this is right from the government's website. This is how you're going to calculate your lost revenue. It's all right there. I won't necessarily go into detail. I don't want to bore all the people, the employees potentially watching. But if you scroll down a little bit more, excuse me, I moved it. If you scroll up to the top, there's some FAQs on the right-hand side especially for people who are employees who might be interested in this program. So what I really want to make clear is, before I go into the FAQs, is why this is important for employees and employers. I've mentioned why it's important for employers is that you're going to get the opportunity to rehire your staff or keep your staff in the building on payroll so you can resume normal operations right away when we start moving back towards normal activities. For employees, the best benefit of this is that If you are on reduced hours or you were let go from your position because your employer closed down, you're most likely either receiving employment insurance or the emergency relief benefit. If you're receiving those two incomes, if you're on employment insurance, the maximum is $557 per month, per week. If you're on the emergency relief benefit, that's $500 per week. Well, this program is providing $847 per week at a maximum. So you might actually be able to get more income support through this wage subsidy program than you would through necessarily the emergency relief benefit or employment insurance. So it's a really good opportunity for employees to speak with their employers about this. The biggest FAQ that I want to point out, a couple actually, is, this is covering only 75% of wages. This isn't covering 100%. So what are businesses expected? Are they expected to cover the extra 25? Well, the government is hoping that, yes, businesses and nonprofits and charities will top up the salaries to make it 100%. However, they recognize that not every business, nonprofit, or charity is in that position to do so. So if you can't, it's not going to be held against you, but they would prefer that you try, at least to top up. Another piece I want to point out is if you are on employment insurance and your employer rehires you, that's great. Because you're doing biweekly reports, you are allowed to work on employment insurance. So you can start going back to work and wean off your employment insurance income and start receiving the wage subsidy full time. However, if you are receiving the emergency relief benefit, you cannot make more than $1,000 per month before tax. Remember that. So this is $847 per week. So you definitely would blow through that cap. And therefore, if you're on emergency relief benefit, you would have to either cancel and repay the $2,000 if your employer applies for this and rehires you, or the best option I've been recommending is maybe wait till the end of a 4-week claim period, and before you restart the next claim period for emergency relief benefit, try and get rehired then, so you don't have to worry about lapse in income, but you also don't have to worry about repaying the emergency relief benefit. So just keep that in mind, okay? Those are the biggest updates I had right now, Steve. The last one, there's not a page for it, but the last one I'll mention is for individuals on Ontario Works and ODSP, there are extra discretionary benefit supports at this time to help out, especially accessing cleaning supplies, childcare, other options. So make sure to reach out to your workers, your case managers, because they can provide you with information on how to apply and if you're eligible for those extra discretionary benefits.
Yes, definitely an important note.
Exactly.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, that was wonderful. So thank you. Always a wealth of information when it comes to all of our supports that are available. It is a tremendous amount of work that you've put into keeping all of this sorted out and straight and put into really simple language. So there's a lot of resources that are out there, and by far, Phil, you've really knocked it out of the park in terms of trying to make it easy and accessible for folks to be able to access the supports they need. So thank you for all of your work in terms of pulling that together and making it so easily accessible. It's definitely appreciated by a lot of folks in our community.
Not a problem. That's what we're here to do. We're here to support you and provide that accurate information as best as possible. I mean, we even find it difficult to navigate the legalese that the government thinks is pretty clear language.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're trying our best to be as accurate with also making sure the language is understandable. So.
Yes, and in terms of the process we've been going through and identifying some of the needs in the community, that's one thing that we've heard loud and clear is plain language, please, right? Mm-hmm. Even from service providers, it's just like, please, just English.
That's right.
Would be nice. So thank you for helping with all of that. And yes, so we'll leave it there unless you have any other closing comments you'd like to make.
I would just like to say that if anybody has any questions, please feel free to reach out to myself. You can reach out through at the bottom of every page on our website under the COVID-19 support. You can email us a comment or a question. If you need clarification on things, by all means, make a contact. Our Facebook page has the same information, so you can contact us through that. I would also say the community navigators through Employment and Social Services are exceptional. They're highly knowledgeable on this information as well. And so if you want contact information for that, we'll update our website so you can contact them as well, and they can help you and walk you through some of these processes, especially for application.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Steve.
Just a couple things. So tomorrow we'll be chatting a little bit more about the federal government's announcement of the $9 million to support seniors. So a lot of these announcements are made before the details are really ironed out in terms of where and how they're going to be allocated within the communities. So we have found out that our community is going to be receiving $49,808 to be able to support the organizations who are currently providing support to vulnerable seniors in the community. And so tomorrow we'll have a little bit more of an update on what that's going to look like locally. And I'll also share any of the information we have. So another announcement was made by Prime Minister Trudeau today around the $350 million that's going to be distributed into supporting our community's most vulnerable. And a portion of that will be going through United Ways as well, and through our collective strategy that we pulled together on how to allocate those resources in our community. And again, this is an announcement that came out, which we're very happy to learn of, but we learned about it, about 20 minutes before the announcement came out. And the government hasn't worked out all the details yet in terms of how that's going to roll out, or what portion of that will be available to support our local folks here in Chatham-Kent. But I will do my best to find out all the information I can before our update tomorrow, and be sure to pass that right along. But anyway, thank you again so much for joining us, Phil, and thank you everyone for watching. If you do have any questions, please just comment below, and we will make sure that someone follows up and gets an answer to you. So thank you all again, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, everyone.